right. Well, we are here for this edition of My Stroke Story, and very privileged to have today Michelle Tuck from Richmond, Virginia, and I am Dr. Karen Malone, physical therapist here in St. Paul, Minnesota, and just really thrilled to start this new series of My Stroke Story so that we can learn from each other what it has been like. And I want to welcome you today here, Michelle.
Thank you.
Yeah, so the morning is just getting started for us, which is good. It's quite wintry here. Are you having snow where you're at today?
No, not at all. A little bit of rain, but that's about it.
Okay, well, so less slippery than the snow for sure. That's good.
Definitely.
So let's just go back a little bit before all this started, and what were you doing when you just before you had your stroke, and then just some changes that obviously took place at that time.
Well, I'm a hairstylist by trade. On Mondays, my days off, and it was a Monday. So I got up like I usually did at 6 a.m, went to the gym for 2 hours, worked out, came back home. My husband was finishing the floors and downstairs, and I decided to set out and do meal preps for the week.
Yeah.
We have 4 teenagers living at home at the time. So
wow.
I tried to use my days off, my Mondays off, to get as much done for the week as possible, because
Sure.
I have a salon in my home, and I was working probably about 55 hours a week.
Wow.
Yeah. So I a little bit after like 7:30 that evening, April 15th, and my husband went to Lowe's to pick up some stuff to work on the floors, and I was in my bedroom, and I had this flash of like lightning go through my vision.
Wow.
And I called my daughter into my room. She's my 17-year-old daughter, and asked her to come look at my eye and see if there was anything in my eye. And I called my husband and told him I thought I was getting ready to have a migraine, because I'm prone to migraines. And I was like, I'm getting ready to have the worst migraine ever. And he thought I was just stressed out because of him refinishing floors and stuff, and the house was kind of in a turmoil. So he came straight home, and by the time he got home, I couldn't move my left side, and my face was drooping. So he called 911. They came and got me to the hospital, but I was unaware that I wasn't able to really move. And so I remember riding in the ambulance, thinking that my aunt was in the ambulance with me, and talking to her the whole way, and she was not. She was in the car behind us, following us there. And as soon as we got to the hospital, I mean, it was probably 15 minutes from the time I had the stroke to the time they got me into a CAT scan machine.
Wow, that is fast.
It really was. We were very fortunate. I got the TPA, and I got they ushered me from one machine to the next. And my husband was great, because he just kept, every time they'd move me from one machine to the next, he'd come out in the hall and tell me everything was okay. So I wasn't scared at all.
How reassuring.
It was. Well, they were calling my family and telling them to get there, that I was not going to make it. And I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. My mother lived in Virginia Beach, which is about an hour away. And she and my sister and my niece were on the way down here. And I had no idea it was so dire. I remember laying in the CAT scan machine and laughing at Luke Perry, thinking, I can't believe he died from a stroke, because I didn't think it was that big of a deal.
Oh, right.
I talked through the entire thing. They told me several times that I could be quiet. I was like, I'm unable to. And then they would pull me out, and my husband would tell me everything was fine. And my husband went back with the neurologist. She showed him a video of my stroke and told him it was just huge. And that if I did survive, the next 48 hours would be crucial. And if I survived, I would never walk again. And so I remember being in ICU, and the doctors coming in and asking me to press against their hands like I was pushing a gas pedal. And I couldn't move either of my feet, but I wasn't scared, because my husband had told me that everything was fine, that everything was going to be fine. So whenever I talk to somebody whose family member's in the hospital having a stroke, I encourage them to not let the doctors come in with all that doom and gloom, because I never thought for a minute I wouldn't walk again. And about 4 days, after about being in ICU for 4 days, I got up and I walked, because it didn't cross my mind that I couldn't.
Of course. Yeah.
And my left side was affected. My stroke was on the right side. My left side was affected, and they told my husband I'd never move my arm again, that was just gone. And now I've got full range of motion in my arm except
Woohoo!
for my hand. I can clench my fist, but I can't open my hand yet, but it's coming back every single day. And I go to occupational therapy, to a neurologist occupational therapy twice a week for an hour at a time.
Wow, that's great.
And it is. Well, and one of my good friends lives up the street from me. She's an occupational therapist. And ever since I came home from rehab, she comes down at least twice a week and does e-stim and some little stretching exercises and stuff like that.
That's sweet.
So, I've been very lucky. I'm the luckiest person I know.
Oh, that is such a tremendous story. And what a guardian your husband is. Isn't that amazing? You know,
we got married in February and I had my stroke in April.
Wow.
Yeah, he's been a godsend. He's the only support system I have. My family doesn't live here, and I have teenagers, so they're not much support at all.
Not to that age yet, are they? No, it's hard for kids. It really is hard. They don't always understand, and as best they may try, it's just a different world. So,
well, for them right now, it's all their world. You know, they're 17, 19, 19, and 20, so their lives are very self-centered.
Right. So tell me about your walking. How stable are you?
I'm great. They just recently, when I went into the neurologist occupational therapist, which I've only been going there for a couple of months now, I'd been just doing regular occupational therapy. I have a frozen shoulder also. So,
do you? Same side?
So the affected side. So I was going to an ortho physical therapist for that. And then I reached out. We have a wonderful program here through Sheltering Arms, and reached out for them and just started trying to, because I was getting so much more movement back that I was thinking, if someone could focus less on the frozen shoulder and more on the stroke side of things, how can I get back?
Right.
And it's really been amazing in the past month or so.
Oh, I'm so happy for you. Wow. So what would you say today, as you get up and start your day, where would you hit more of your more substantial struggles during your day?
Getting myself ready. Like I said, I'm a hairstylist. I can't work because I can't use my left hand. And I ran into a friend of mine at my niece's wedding, and she was like, I didn't recognize you, without your hair done and your makeup on, because that's who I am as a person. Right. So that's hard. That's been hard to kind of step back for that and just kind of accept, the natural look I have.
Yeah.
As much as I can with bleached hair and.
Yeah. So you can't get one of your teen daughters, or if you have one, I don't know how many you have, but to help with the makeup at all or anything like that?
They can. It's just, both of them have, like, my 17-year-old's in school all the time. And then the 19-year-old, she has her thing going on. I do the best I can with one hand.
Sure you do. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just different.
I was a lot more higher maintenance before the stroke, and that's been the nice thing, to kind of reprioritize what's truly important.
Isn't that something? That's a big change in your life, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Wow. So what are your expectations for getting back to work? Do you have any kind of, like, I'm really working on this, I'm hoping by this time I should be able to do something, or how's it going?
Well, as you know, with a stroke, they don't know. No one knows. So no one can give you any insight. Like, when I walk into the neurologist's office and I'm walking, they can't believe it. Because my husband had 2 neurologists tell him I would never, under no circumstances, walk again.
I don't know how they can do that really at the very onset. It's interesting.
They can't. Well, all they can see is,
the damage. They see the damage.
Right. And based on other people who've had that extensive damage.
Yeah.
But everybody is different.
Everybody's different. Yep.
I was in very good physical shape before my stroke. So I do think that aided in my faster recovery, and the fact that we got to the hospital so quickly. But I went to the gym every day, 2 hours at a time.
Wow.
Doing cardio and lifting. I have no blood pressure issues. There was I had a carotid artery dissection. I had a coughing fit from a allergy, and it ruptured my carotid artery. So
wow. So has your nutritional intake, your diet changed at all since before and after your stroke?
Oh, most definitely. Before the stroke, I was very aware of what I was eating, and now it's like, what can I fix for myself, or what is easy for my husband to get me? So I would say that my diet is worse now, because before I was very health conscious. I was very, like I said, I was going to the gym. I was, living off of protein shakes and protein, low carb foods. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's not fair for me to ask everybody to help me do those things, and I can't go to the gym because they don't want me overexerting myself because of the carotid artery.
Oh, right, 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 right. So that's
So
an interesting thought, the whole idea, and probably there'll be others that will talk about this too, but just, yeah, what you're able to fix, and then, looking at your nutrition and the impact that can play as well on your recovery. But, you're very limited, so you have to really think about what you can do and the responsibilities you have, obviously, with your family. So those are all
well,
play a
and,
part.
and me not being able to work right now financially,
Mm,
it's so much easier to eat convenience food and cheap
mm,
food than it is
yes,
to,
yes.
cook healthy, nutritious food. And
Yeah.
I was the primary breadwinner,
Ah,
so,
that's a great profession that you had. Have you thought of any alternative kind of jobs or anything that interests you that even in the interim? I know you want to get back to doing the same thing, but that you might
well,
pursue?
I've hired 2 girls to take over my clientele. So now I'm
Mm.
more managing the salon than I am
Well,
doing the hair, but it's hard. I know, I don't know if you've ever had to work with employees.
mm.
It's really difficult, especially for my job. I have a personal relationship with every
Well,
single
sure you
client,
do. Yes, yes.
and asking someone else to take over and the egos involved and all of that, it's very difficult.
Mm,
That's not something I ever wanted to do, was run a salon. I was always just a single
mm,
operator, did my
mhm,
own thing. And
mhm.
I can do some of it one-handed, and I've started doing that.
Yeah.
And then my husband and I have got a eBay store, and we go to the thrift stores and
Yeah.
find stuff and
Fun.
do that. And then we're going to start doing deliveries for like DoorDash and Grubhub and stuff
Oh,
like that. To try to,
yeah. Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
I get out every day. My husband got me a therapy dog. She's an
Oh.
emotional support dog, and she is amazing.
Oh, what
And
kind
so
of dog is she?
she's a Beagle Labrador mix.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Oh my God, she is
Oh.
the most relaxed dog in the world, and she just calms everybody down. She's
Oh.
wonderful. So we try to get out every day. We take her for walks, and we take her to the dog park. So,
Oh.
I mean, it's not my normal. It's not who I was before the stroke, but
Yeah.
I have a life still. And I think that's important to remember for a lot of people because,
Mm.
and a lot of the support groups a lot of people are so depressed because they can't have the life they had before.
Yep.
And I might never get that life back before, but I'm just so grateful to be here.
Yes. Yes, you have a life. You are living a life.
I
So what
am.
what you make of it now is truly important, and there are choices that you still have to make, right? You're not a victim in your circumstances for sure. You still have to make some choices, like you went ahead and hired those people to help you with your salon, and that was huge. That was a hard choice, but a necessary one. And
Well, and it's
you
kept
could
everything
learn
going.
more. You can
Well,
learn
and
more about management, as you go along, and it could get easier.
well, and it does keep me invested into my business too, because I sit in there and I consult, and
Yeah.
I'm able to, keep my relationships up with my clients. And I'm more fortunate, I think, than a lot of people too, because, I think stroke sometimes can be so isolating.
Yes.
And with me having this type of business in my home, I
Mm.
mean, I have a chair in the salon. I sit there. I see people every single day,
Wow.
and it's really nice to be able to talk. And a lot of times they ask about my stroke, but more than that, they ask about my kids. They ask about my life,
Just regular
what
stuff.
I'm doing. I mean,
Yeah,
they're all anxious to see the progress I'm making, but they're also anxious to see me back to being me a little bit.
exactly. Oh, I love it. That is really good. So your world doesn't have to revolve every moment of the day around, I've had a stroke. These are my limitations, but you're getting back into really, you're not your old life, but you're getting back into life, the regular kind of
Absolutely.
life that people enjoy and experience.
Well, and
Wow.
I haven't given up hope that I'll get my
Of
old life
course
back
not.
or some
No.
semblance of it. I mean,
Yes.
because as far as I've come, I mean, it's only been 7 months,
Yeah.
and I'm walking, and
Yes. That's
it's
super.
crazy.
Wow. So are you using any kind of an assistive device or any kind of a brace on
No,
your leg?
no, not at all.
Oh, that's great. Wow. And I'm so some of the ladies would wonder if you're back, if you wore higher heels, are you in flats or What kind of
Yeah,
shoes?
I tend to wear just easy to get on, easy to get off, like Crocs and tennis shoes. And if we're going to be out a lot for the day, I wear something as supportive as possible. But because I was a gym rat, I'm used to the tennis shoes anyway. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's usually my go-to because I know I can walk a further distance from it. And I think that's important too, is proper footwear.
Mm.
I'd love to be able to put my boots back on and that kind of stuff. And I went to my niece's wedding and I had to dress up. And I was able to do her hair and makeup for her
Oh,
wedding with one hand.
wow, wow.
She was so incredible. She was like, I don't care how it looks as long as you do it.
Oh, how special. Wow.
It really was. And it turned out beautiful.
Mm.
And I found it's a lot easier to put makeup on someone else one-handed than it is to do it yourself.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
I guess
Wow.
perspective and all that.
For sure. Yeah, that's great.
So
Well, this
that
has
was,
been just amazing. I'm thrilled with your story and your attitude, and just from the start, really, just starting through the challenges that you faced and having that wonderful husband to really shield you from those negative thoughts, to just
well, that's
didn't
the
put a
thing. I mean, he
ceiling on
didn't
you.
let
Hmm.
anybody bring any negativity into the hospital
Wow.
rooms when I was there. I mean, to the point where if the doctors came in to discuss my care, he would step out in the hall with them so that I wouldn't hear their doom and gloom.
Oh,
And I think that's, there's so much. I mean, the stroke affects your body so much, but it also affects your mental well-being.
yep.
And I think that, I mean, to hear that you're never going to walk again, that becomes that self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mm,
So,
yep.
and I'm a firm believer in putting out into the universe what you expect.
Mm,
And so I always wake up every morning saying, I'm going to get my hand back, or I'm going to get back to doing this, that, or the other, because I
mm,
feel like words are power.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And
Well, mindset, just how on your perspective, how do you view the situation and how do you view yourself in it? And I
well,
think that's
absolutely. And that's, I hate the term stroke victim because I'm not a
right.
victim to this. I'm a survivor of
Exactly.
this.
Exactly. And I even hear warrior coming out in you as well. I think you have had so many victories. It's just absolutely wonderful to hear that. So, yeah, that's an encouraging story, Michelle. And I'm
Well, thank
just
you.
thrilled to have this opportunity to have shared some of your story with others here who are listening today, our audience. And I'm sure it'll be a great encouragement to others. Is there any closing thought that you would like to share with them before we close?
Well, I guess just, understand that people will try to limit you, but if you don't limit yourself, then you can accomplish anything.
Yes. Wow.
You
That's
know,
good.
and another thing I think that's very humbling is to like go where I go to my occupational therapy. There are a lot of people far worse off than I am. I really can't
Mm.
complain about what I'm doing. I met a lady the other day. She had a stroke, and then she had a secondary stroke, and it affected her opposite side. So now she can't move her left hand
Oh,
or her right hand. So
wow.
it's a little bit hard for me to complain about being one-handed when she's got no hands.
Wow. Yeah. And we hope that she finds the hope that she needs to, right? I mean, everybody.
Well, let me tell you, I watch her in admiration because she
Oh,
is working her tail off to get back something,
wow.
anything.
Yes, yes. Wow. Well, good for her. Well, I'm sure you're an encouragement everywhere you go, Michelle. And it's really just been a pleasure to have this time with you. And maybe we'll
Thank you,
get a
Karen. I
chance to
appreciate
talk to you again. Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, thanks again. And we'll see you around. How's that?
that. Sounds great. I look forward to hearing everybody else's stories too. Thank you so much for doing this.
You are very welcome. You have a wonderful day.
You as well. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.